Down syndrome, Kerry. But then later on, he will be visiting St. Mary of the Angels campus in Beaufort, and followed by a tour of that, he will be meeting with representatives of the families of residents who, as you would have heard over the last couple of months, have been very concerned about developments and very concerned about the future of St. Mary of the Angels campus in Beaufort. And they've been talking with the department and talking with St. John of God's, and today they get a chance to talk to the minister. With me on the line to talk about this is one of their representatives, Anne Hannan. Anne, good morning to you.
Good morning, Jerry.
Now, you're looking forward, obviously, to meeting the minister. Before we get to that, how have the last couple of months been since this whole situation erupted? You've been in a series of consultations, I understand, with St. John of God's and other stakeholders about what happens from here.
Yes, we've actually made an awful lot of progress in the last few months. We secured a meeting with Jerry from the HSE. That was back around November, and we secured from him in writing that none of our loved ones will be moved out of St. Mary of the Angels without the family's consent. So as we've always said, we're not against people living in the community where it's appropriate, and we're very happy to explore that with any of our parents who feel that their loved one would benefit from living out in the community. What we were against was the forced decongregation. So Jerry has assured us that will not happen, that our loved ones will be allowed to stay in St. Mary of the Angels if that's what them and their family feel is best for them.
If that's what they actually want?
Yes.
Okay, and alongside that then, obviously conditions in St. Mary's of the Angels, you've talked about that, but are you concerned about the future? What happens, whether new people will be coming on board, or how it will be managed from here, I suppose? Is that a concern?
That's definitely a concern. So our first goal was to secure the existing residents, and we've accomplished that. So we would like to know, what are the future plans? Because we all know that there are people throughout the county who have children who have special needs right now. There are parents living with their adult children with special needs that are under-supported, very much under-supported. And so, of course, we want to know what's going to be the future for them.
That's the key question, I suppose, that needs to be answered.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and when it comes to the residents themselves, I mean, your family members, how have they been taking all of this over the last number of months?
Well, as far as possible, I would never have discussed any of this with my brother. He's non-verbal.
Yeah.
So if I was to bring this up with Johnny, I know he understands me, but the point is I don't understand him. So there's no way I'm going to drop a bombshell like that on him, and he has no way to express how he's feeling about it.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that most of the families have adopted a similar approach, unless in the case where their loved ones are verbal and able to express themselves. I know one of our members, she would have asked her brother how he would feel about, moving out into a different setting. Would he, and he said no, he absolutely wanted to stay where he is.
And is that's obviously the central point that you were making all along? You feel the disruption to their lives from moving into the community would not be worth it, no matter what the community setting was like afterwards, that central point was that this would be too much disruption given their various different conditions and situations and how they've become so ingrained and how they were enjoying, as you said, St. Mary's the Angels and the life there.
It's difficult to comprehend how St. Mary the Angels could be replicated in the community, because it's not just the facilities that it has, which are extensive. I mean, it has the only hydrotherapy pool in Kerry. They have the multi-sensory rooms, they have a day centre, and they have, as you know, it's a beautiful setting, but also the knowledge and experience of the staff that are in St. Mary of the Angels. We are always told, the staff would be moving with them, but only, key staff, let's say. So the staff would not be supported out in the community either. So this was our whole point, is how can we're not against, as I said, we're not against decongregation. We absolutely feel community living is appropriate for some people. And, it should be explored in cases where if somebody could thrive in the community, of course that's what they should be. And they should be supported to be there. But as we said, we're moving them for the sake of a policy as opposed to its benefit
on the ground.
What we were fighting.
Yeah. And then, what do you think, what will Finian McGrath see when he visits there and gets a tour of the facility today?
Well, I hope that he'll see first of all, the setting, the facilities that are there. It's been described in government reports as an institution, which is, we find that an abhorrent term to describe it, because it's a beautiful place. It's never felt like an institution. It's a home. And my brother, for example, he lives in a bungalow on the campus. So there's 5 residents. They all have their own bedrooms. There's plenty of 3 different common areas, so you can all find their own space. So when you hear the word institution, you think of a big grey old Victorian building, with bars on the windows. That's not what we're talking about here. So we want him to see, first of all, how lovely St. Mary the Angels is, to go into some of the units, meet the residents, see how happy they are, see how well taken care of they are. I mean, the staff are incredible. They love the residents there. They've worked with them for years. They know them. I mean, I'm always impressed with how well the staff know my brother, how, they know all his quirks and idiosyncrasies. They understand him. They know how to communicate with him, and that there's a genuine fondness there and regard. So that's what I'm hoping that the minister will see today.
And from that point then, you'd be hoping to get some sort of commitment from him, or some sort of, I won't say that he's not going to agree to do anything from a meeting today. He'd also have to come up with proposals depending what you say to him. But that some level of the future for your family members is, some level of assurance is given to you.
Yeah, we have a presentation to deliver to him. So we'll see how that's received and where we can go from there.
And that's the central thing. And listen, there's obviously lots of interest in this, lots of the parents, and I'm sure not many of them can be there today because people are working and different things, but you're representing the majority of parents that have residents there.
Yes, the committee will be meeting there, and I mean, we have had tremendous support from the families, from the public, from yourselves, from the councillors and TDs. So we really have appreciated how everyone has rallied behind this cause.
Okay, well listen, and we'll talk more no doubt, and that meeting taking place this evening after Minisiter Finian McGrath tours the facility at St. Mary of the Angels. But thanks for talking to us. It's Hannan there, representative of the families group, the families of residents of St. Mary of the Angels, who have been particularly active on all of this since it emerged that there may have been some concern, or may have been some moves to change and decongregate the setting of St. Mary of the Angels and move their family members out into the community. They were not happy with that, so they've been talking about that, as you heard Anne say, the last couple of months. Got some guarantees, but a key meeting with Minister Finian McGrath today. If you've a view for us on that, get in touch with us in the programme. He's also opening up the employability service in Rock Street and Tralee today, as well as Down Syndrome Kerry. They have a new office. It's their first office, I think, their first official building.